Hello everyone, I'm X, and this is a guide on Runestones. This is going to be a very in-depth guide for new players. Most of the elder players will already know what I'm going to explain here, so, obviously feel free to just skip this video and like, comment, and subscribe ahead of time. So overall, there are three types of Runestones. And if we look here, I have all three types in my bag. I know. Be patient with me. My bags are very full. So first of all, we have our basic type, which is just your standard run-of-the-mill runestone. You will get these from quests. You'll get them from drops in the world. And the vendor inside of towns, the equipment vendor, sells level 1 chests, which contain 1 each. Now, these are basically the ones that you use to level up your assault, fate, control, support, protection, and this is the most common one to receive as rewards. Now, the next type is going to be the Transcendent Runestones, and now these are a little bit more rare. However, you do get one from your growth box for starting out. And then you do get a few others, such as this one, like this Vitality one here, and this Critical Power one here, and then this other dungeon one from the quest line. Now, the third type would be the Tolerance Runestones, which also count as Transcendent Dungeon Runestones. Now, you can have 3 Transcendent Runestones equipped, so we'll go into more detail about the Transcendent ones during that section later. So first of all, in order to level up Runestones, you need 2 things. You need, for the basic ones, you need Rune Powder, which I'll pull some out here, and money, and runes, of course. So from step 1 to 2, it requires 5 Rune Powder, right? However, one thing that you don't know, if you're a new player, is, so you see this EXP bar here at the end. If I put in 5, sometimes it will proc to 1.5. However, we want to save as much rune powder as we can. So we want to do as little as we can. So you always want to use something that will fill you up to max, but not quite. So like 4, if we take 4 times 1.5, we get 6. So you see how it procced 1.5 and filled it up? I saved 1 rune powder there. So next, we can use a runestone of the same grade to upgrade it. It does not, however, have to be the same color. So I can use any color here that I want. I know I only have oranges, but I can use this white one and I can upgrade it. Now, level 1 runestones give 1 point. Level 2 give 2 points. 3 give 3 points. And 4 give 4 points up in the top right. 5 also give 5 points. 6 give 6. 5 give 5 give 5 points until you polish them, right? And then 6 give 6 points until you polish them, and so on and so on. You can see that most clearly with these 2 runes. This is an unpolished one giving 4. This is a polished one also giving 4. But the bottom bar gives actually more, and we'll explain that once in a second here. So you level up your level 2 runestone. So I'm going to level up the white ones. Do not give any rune attribute points. So you're always going to want to start with one of the colored ones. So I'm doing this orange one here, and the max is 14. So I'm going to do so I'm going to basically take 14 divided by 1.5 and then round up. So I got 10, right? So I'm going to polish it 10. It didn't go, so I'm going to try and do 3 here. See if it went. It didn't. So it still cost me the same here, but that's okay, right? And now we're going to use this one. Now, when upgrading from level 2 to 3, there's a chance. You see how it says critical hit here? This is an RNG chance to get something different. Right now, different stat. There are several different stats you can get for that RNG stat. You can get critical hit, you can get vitality, you can get max energy, you can get skill points, You can get stamina. I think that's all of them. Let me just check my... Oh, and you can get accuracy. That's all of them. So out of all of those, the best one to get is skill points by far. Now, if that's the one thing that you get out of this video, you're so far ahead of where I was when I first started that it makes such a big difference. You want all of your runes to be skill points when they hit level 3. If they do not hit skill points, do not level them up to level 4 unless you're trying to upgrade from 4 to 5. So, from level 4, from level 3 to upgrade to 4, we're going to check, see what it takes. It takes 20, right? So we're going to do 14, because 14 is 1.5 divided up. So see how it went. All right, now this is a skill point rune. So I'm going to try and take it up to level 4. I could use a clock here, but I wouldn't. This is such a cheap craft. I would recommend saving your clocks for later, because there is a chance when going from level 3 to level 4 for you to fail. Now, if you fail, you lose this fodder runestone, which is just like a resource. You lose your materials here. And then this also degrades. So fortunately there, we got a success. Now, if you watch, we'll polish this one. Actually, we're gonna polish this blue one, right? So we can check to see it takes 67 to polish. We're gonna use 40 to polish. I'm just doing 1.5 or 60 divided by 1.5 because it's easier than 67. And we'll see if it goes. Okay, it did not. So now we have 27. So then we do 18. And that one went. Now this is max now. So now you see the bottom stat, the 4 skill attributes. It was 2 and is now 4. So we gained 2 skill attributes from polishing it. So any runes that you use should be polished to max. As you can see here, I'm actually like breaking my rule, somewhat. But that's okay for me because I have so many tier 5s and stuff. And my skill points are actually in a pretty good place where I don't have to worry about them that much. So just quickly, one thing that I forgot to add in the original video, I'm just cropping this in, is that at level 5, you do get a second on basic runestones. You get a second random stat. So this random stat can be all the same things as the first one. So you can actually get double skill attributes. You can get skill attributes vitality. You could get skill attributes critical hit. You could get critical hit. You can get accuracy skill attributes. Basically all the combinations. The holy grail of Runestones is actually the double skill attribute one. And they're very hard to get. They're very, very, very valuable once you hit level 5 because the failure rate for level 5s is very, very high. But I just wanted to add that in and make sure you guys all knew that when you guys were going from level 4 to 5. There are different boxes. The RNG boxes, there's an RNG roulette type box where the item does not bind. The ones that you can select do bind. Now, going over the different types of transcendent runestones, these are the most basic ones, right? These are the legendary ones that are the most useful. This one is also a transcendent runestone, and you should have this polished to max, and always, always use this until you are above 300 skill points at the very least. I would highly, highly recommend even using it beyond that, but I mean, that's personal preference, and that's by the time you get 300 skill points, you'll have a lot more knowledge about the game to make the decision for yourself. As for these other ones that you got, they are very situational, and I personally do not use them. These two that you got here. Now, for this third one, it is useful in a dungeon, but that's the third type, and we'll go over that in a second. So for going back over these gold types, some of these are very useful and others are not. So if we look at the most useful one, which would be the energy conservation runestone, this is through and through a PvE runestone. It is used in PvE by almost all classes. So right now I'm in PvP, so I don't use it in this setup. However, I do have one for my PvP or PvE setup, not PvP. So this is a very useful one. I would highly recommend everyone get at least a level 1, preferably a level 2, because there are level 2 selection boxes. And the only difference between a level 1 selection box and a level 2 selection box is the upgrade capacity. If you look at these, all the different boxes will have different capacities at which you can upgrade the runestone. This one only goes up to level 3. This one goes 2 to 4. This one goes 2 to 4. This one goes 2 to 4. And I don't have any of the ones that go all the way up, apparently. But these can go all the way up to 7, I believe. But it is very hard to level these and bring them up to level 7. Very high failure rate. I would highly recommend just getting a level 2 from the box and polishing it until you are at a better situation with your gear and everything. So we will go from the bottom up. So we already talked about the conservation one. The HP damage runestone. Now these all do give runestone attribute points. So this one is going to require a purple slot, and it will give you 2 purple skill points when 1 purple skill point, 2 when polished, I believe. No, only 1 when polished. So if you look here, my level 2 gives me 2 when polished, right? It gives me 2 even when it's unpolished. Now, when you look at the next one, we're looking at the runestone HP damage. This fills a support slot. Now, it isn't a bad runestone. However, having a green slot for it and what you're giving up by going green if you're not someone who's heavily invested in the support tree anyway. I personally don't use this. I've seen a few mystics use it. I've seen a few gunners use it, but for the most part, I don't see a lot of people use it. That doesn't mean that there aren't builds with it in it. It's just I, for one, have stayed away from this one. As a warlord, this next one, movement block, I use because I am heavily invested in orange right now. Even when I divest my orange and move to purple, I'm still probably going to be using this one. This one debuffs the enemy with a stamina cooldown, or with increased stamina consumption for 5 seconds. It's really good in PvP. In PvE, it doesn't have much use. The sudden death one, I would not recommend this one due to the dodge changes recently and its high cooldown. I just don't see its usefulness being very good. Now, bash defense. This one is probably best in slot for PvP and can be used in PvE as well. I don't use it in PvE because my defense is high enough. But in PvP, this is definitely a rune that I always use. And I have one... I have one in my gear right here. Bash defense level 2. Again, you should probably polish it if you are using it. And, I don't always follow my own advice, but there it is in my gear. Highly would recommend it. If you can get it up to level 4, that would be preferred, again, but these are very costly, and I will show you why in a second. So now if we look at the last one, barrier damage. Again, it's pretty good in PvP. In PvE, it's good in this sandstorm instance, the daily portal. Outside of that, it's kind of like meh usefulness because not a lot of mobs have barriers, right? Again, this one gives you... So from the top down, we're going to go, this gives you red, this gives you blue, this gives you yellow, this gives you orange, this gives you green, and this gives you purple. And you actually have to put those in the slots. Mind you, this type of runestone, you are limited to 3 transcendent runestones in your equipment total. So you can't use all of these no matter how much you want to. This one counts as a transcendent runestone as well, and so do both these, and they can be put into any color slot of gear that you wish. So, I can take it out here, and I can take out this orange one. I can move it in orange, right? And then I can move it back to blue. However, if we take this orange one right here, which is the movement block one, and I put it here, I can't move it to blue, right? But I can take a blue one and put a blue one in there, and then I can take an orange one, put an orange one in there, and then I can take, this is a purple one, that won't go in there, but this will go in there. Now I have 3 in my gear. Now I'm trying to put a purple one in, and I've already reached the maximum amount, so I can't put any more in. So this is what I mean by you're limited by 3. So I would choose, I usually use 2. I use 2 in PvE, which is always my big boy one right here, the skill attribute one. And then I always use the energy conservation one for PvE, and then the bash defense one for PvP. Highly would recommend you get those 2 first before you worry about any of the other ones. And again, so where do you get these? Well, so if you click over here and you look at your daily dimensional portals, you can see where they drop. So Nosgard Hunting Grounds, Odin's Sky Isle, doesn't look like they drop in Black Mecha Basin. We'll go to the weeklies. Wraith Monastery drops them. Abandoned Underground has, and Exiles Island also drops them. That drops the boxes, but they have a different type. Now, these ones are the Transcendent common ones. They still count as Transcendent Runestones, but they have other perks on them. Let me see if I have it in my inventory. I don't think so. We'll just have to go off of the UI here. But these are... there's no really other way to say it than they're pretty garbage. Now, let me find them. Wraith? Was it Wraith that had them? Yeah, so these are pretty garbage. We'll go left to right. So you have the Lightning Release one, which is okay. But the big problem with these, all these white ones, is they can fit in any slot of your gear, and they do not give you any rune attribute points. So I would not suggest using these unless you're running some sort of niche build and you actually know what you're doing. So this one is the Lightning Release. Upon dealing a critical hit, fires lightning bolts to target and 3 by nearby enemies. It doesn't seem that bad, but again, you're missing out on rune attribute points by equipping them. This one is just lightning damage up. Again, some skills have lightning attributes. This is, I think Elementalists might use this, but not most Elementalists don't. Damage reflection. This does not add a flat amount of damage reflection to you. It only increases damage reflection skills. Barrier enhancement. This might be good if you're actually running a barrier build again, but I would not recommend it. Threat decrease. This is not needed at all. Do not ever use this. Firing up your attack. This one doesn't seem too bad, but I don't think that I would recommend it still because of the skill attribute loss. This one is just not good. That's not enough damage for that golem, and it's only every 10 seconds. This one is a fire damage one, so that might be something Elementalists look at, but again, I wouldn't recommend it. And then, finally, how do we upgrade these special runestones? So, for one thing, you're going to need some balance powder. Balance powder can be bought from a vendor. It drops in some rare circumstances, but it can be bought from the general goods vendor. You can buy 20 a day. As you can see, it used to drop. You can probably hit it. You can find it on the market too occasionally. But that's how you level up these. So if I was to like take one of my runes that I use, so we'll go over here and we're just gonna polish it, right? So again, we check the max, right? The max is 99 here, so we're just gonna go 50, just because I don't know what the actual max is. So 30, so that means that we're gonna go 20, and then 10, that means we're gonna go 7. 3, we'll go 2. Man, we didn't save any there. So now when we go to upgrade, it requires these, right? And it requires another runestone of the same level. So I can take any runestone that is legendary grade rank 2 and put it in there and feed it. Now this one is going to be destroyed when I go to upgrade this. Now these, from my experience so far, the patch has hit and they have changed. These only drop in Odin's. Odin's Sky Isle and I got like 4 an hour. So they are very rare, and they are going to be very expensive on the market. I have a few here, so you can turn the white ones into any color using balance powder. But again, these are very rare, and it's very hard to upgrade these runes since the change. But that is how you'd upgrade them. Again, I've done like 20 attempts on going from stage 2 to stage 3. It's very expensive. This is like 2.1 million of the stones for an attempt, and it's also 200 rune powder, which again is like okay, so like 300k worth of rune powder, and then it also requires another level 2. I would hold off on upgrading any of yours to level 2, or from level 2 to level 3 until you're like later game and stuff. Like, as you can see, like I'm trying to. There are people out there with level 4s and stuff like that, but again, those people are very hardcore and definitely have the expendable resources. The last type of runestone we're going to talk about are the dungeon runestones. So if you click over to your dungeon tab, right, you hit M and you go to dungeon tab, and the transcendent dungeons, you have all these transcendent dungeons here. Now, the only one that's really worth doing is Poison Mist. So you're only going to want to level up your Poison Mist rune. So to get those, you can either run Poison Mist and get them, which is very hard without the actual Poison Mist rune, or you can get these boxes. Now, these boxes that I have, I'll be showing you here in a second if I can find them in my inventory. These boxes that I have right here, they allow you to select one runestone type, right? So poison, gale, earthquake, or spike. So you'd select the poison one, but these drop in pretty much any of the weekly portals, any of the daily portals. They're just all over the place. You can get them on 20k for the market, and I think the game even gives you some. So I'd claim one here, and then I'd use it, and again, I'd max it out with rune powder, right? Go 4, then 1, then click upgrade, and I need these transcendent rune upgrades. Now, for these, the game gives you enough to get your first runestone, and then you get more by actually farming the dungeon. They are currently untradeable and cannot be sold, so you just get more by farming the dungeon. I think I have like a few thousand of them on like stuck on an alt or something because I farm Poison Dungeon a lot. But that's the general idea. You want to get Poison Mist, this rune that we just upgraded, up to rank 3, and probably never touch it again. Poison Mist is the only one I really upgraded. I upgraded a Gale Tolerance to level 2, and I was going to take it up higher, but I decided not to. I did Earthquake or Spike Tolerance to level 3 as well. I did those two. I mean, you can get all 3 up to level 3, just you can complete your dungeons, and then not touch them again. Later on, more players might be doing these advanced dungeons, and it might be worth it, but Poison Mist, due to the gold drops and money drops and mana EXP drops inside the dungeon, is probably the only one worth doing. As you get more skilled, runs take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, and you just make sure you click on floor 1 and you run through it, and easy money. Anyway, that is my guide on runestones. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cygax. Thank you very much.